And good morning. We've made it to Tuesday. This is Coffee and Conversation with Jay Clifton Payne. I am that guy, Jay Clifton Payne. I am wearing my headphones because I'm a professional trying to get a little bit of extra effort so I can actually hear myself do these things. It actually helps when you hear yourself do these things. We're going to see how well this works, going better, and being a bit more on the pithy side of getting things done. As you know, this is more of a cobble together, thrown together thing. So we're making it work as it goes along. I've got coffee and conversation. We're going to talk about news stories that happened over the last 24, 36 hours in our 8 Things to Talk About newsletter for today. Now, 8 Things to Talk About is a newsletter and comes out as part of the Conversation Project. Sorry about that. You can find out about the newsletter and the project at conversation.com. Every single morning around 6 o'clock in the morning, we send out a newsletter, or every single weekday morning, Monday through Friday, send out a newsletter that lets you know some conversational stories you can take into the office and talk about. And these are not necessarily the top stories, but they're normally stories that people truly are into because they are literally judged by you. We send these stories out all day long, 24/7. Every 50 minutes, we send a new story. And if you follow us on Facebook and Twitter, Facebook, this is a conversation, and Twitter, th_conversation, you can find those stories in your feeds. As people engage with those stories, we have more stuff to chat about. And that is where we come up with the script. And at the end of the week, we have a podcast called The Weekly Wrap Up, where you do the top 10 stories of the entire week. This is a way to be more conversational, way to get more insight of what's going on. And these videos are something that are experimental. We'll see how well they keep going in the process of making these things work. You will see plenty of ways to reach out and help us out. The best way you can do is, of course, share the newsletter, share the videos, and share the podcast so that more people are in on the conversation. More people in the conversations, the better we can do on the top end. So you can also go to buymeacoffee.com/JClevelandPayne, and you can do that and help us support the effort. Buy coffees for me and the crew behind this. There's also links inside of the description on things you can do to help out as well. Buy some merch for the deals. Without further ado, let's get into today's newsletter. And today's newsletter, we've actually put for the effort. And so you can also see the newsletters posted at our website. This is theconversation.com. This is where we're going to read it from today. From today, I'm going to pull up the larger version. So I'm not so much looking at you maybe, but I'm looking at the reading. So it's a bit more, it goes a bit more better, a bit more better. It goes a bit better or more better, either way, than it did in yesterday's kind of run through in the undisclosed bunker that was my home office. Now, the top story today, this morning, is a really big story. It's actually a super story. Super stories are combined headlines that are basically updates of stories, the same story. We had the story that was at 2 and 3, and then we put them together as 2 different stories. Another story at number 3 was the fact that all 4 of the majors in tennis decided to write a statement, a joint statement saying that they were going to punish Naomi Osaka for her deciding not to take any questions at the French Open and maybe going further. Well, hours after that, Naomi Osaka announced her withdrawal from the French Open. After deciding not to speak with the media, she won 1 match in this French Open. She took her fine of $15,000 from that match. And then, of course, when all the other majors combined to say they're going to punish her, she decided she didn't want to be a distraction. She has been speaking about mental health, sort of broadly. When she said she wasn't taking any questions, she went pretty specific in some social media posts, explain what's going on. Essentially, since her big win in 2018, she's been really, really freaked out and dealing with various bouts of depression. She feels that a lot of that comes from the grilling that she gets from the media and the French media, as she said, sort of in particular, pointing a big finger at them. She's still world's number 2 ranked tennis player. She's just going to take some time off for this tournament and maybe a few down the lines. A lot of outpouring from many people, including Serena Williams, who she beat in that 2018 tournament to get her first big win, and many other athletes as well. So we are definitely offering up thoughts and prayers to Naomi Osaka, who is going to deal with her mental issues her own way, mental health issues her own way and in her own time, because the very talented teenager deserves to not feel like she's being embattled in her head. That's what people dealing with mental health issues have to deal with. That's something I deal with every single day with my own depression issues. So I definitely my heart goes out to her. Whether this was the right way to address it at the beginning, that will be a big talk for a while. In fact, if you follow Piers Morgan, you know he's jumping on this one because that's what he does. But we will see going forward how things go along for Naomi Osaka. She will come back to tennis fairly soon. She's a very good tennis player. We'll see what happens. I'm going to read you the quick bit from this one that came in. Oh, that one with the super combined of the two came in engagement of 20.52%. 20% of all the people who basically were in on our feeds in the last day or so saw this actual thing or engaged with this actual thing. Now, King's College London forced to apologize after staff outrage over Prince Philip email. I suggest you go to our newsletter or go to our website and click the link for this to go deeper into this, because it's a very, very long article. But this is what we clipped out of it for you to kind of get the gist of it. King's College London has been forced to apologize after an email bulletin featuring a picture of Prince Philip upset staff. Following the Duke of Edinburgh's death, employees were sent an email which showed the picture of Philip opening university's Maltby Library with the Queen in 2002. The Duke had been a governor of the university since 1955. However, despite the seemingly innocuous content, staff reacted to the juries because of Duke's historical racism. Associate Director Jolene Clark issued an apology after receiving a number of complaints. The original email was sent following the Duke's death, age 99. Last one's caption: as the nation mourns the death of HRH, His Royal Majesty Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, we thought you might like to see a photo of the Duke in his official opening of the Marlborough Library in 2002, which some colleagues will remember. But complaints were made by the university's anti-racism committee of practice, according to a mail on Sunday. Now, they're going deeper into that story. There's a big deal with the apology that is there. You get to see the apology of the from the school and deeper things. Essentially, Prince Philip was known to be kind of a jokester, but unfortunately, because he was 99 years old, some of his jokes didn't quite fall in line at the times and were pretty much, as we say, politically incorrect, sometimes a bit offensive to folks who weren't in the same sort of vein of what's going on. So that is the deal with that, because the school is a part of because school had so much of background with Prince Philip, and they sent that out. People on that anti-diversity commission decided that they didn't like that because, well, what Prince Philip sort of did over time. And this is sort of things that we see a lot in people of older generations who are now more prominent. We see that with Prince, we're not with Prince Philip, he's not quite Prince. We see that with Joe Biden and all the gaffes that were funny Uncle Joe stuff until he actually got to be in charge of the country. And then it's kind of like, wait a minute, funny Uncle Joe smells the women's hair without their permission. That's a problem. And the things that the Duke of Edinburgh or the Prince Philip had were problems. And we'll see how we will carry on forward with those problems and how people now can do better as opposed to going back. I do have some issues with the snowflaking of the world. So I do have some issues with that. But fortunately, some of these issues are actual issues, and some of these issues are ginned up for reasons I don't understand. The number 3 story this week, the engagement of this one came out to about 6.67%. Report of a shooting at Dallas North Park Central Mall was a skateboard being banged in the floor, police say. Now, there's so much going on with so many violent instances. We'll have a few actual ones to talk about in a minute. But apparently a mentally disturbed person, that's basically how he's described, was banging a skateboard in the middle of the mall and was holding on his fingers like he was shooting a gun. He didn't have a gun, but people freaked out. Some people really took this thing and had serious cases of the vapors and cases, but nothing happened. It was just a reported of a active shooting environment. There was no active shooter, no shooter at all. Just a man, as I said, in quotes, mentally disturbed, who was banging his skateboard on the ground, making noise, and then just sort of banging finger shooting. Along those lines, the story right below it, at number 4 this morning, the Celtics fan who threw the water bottle at Kyrie Irving this week, who used to play for Boston but now plays for the Nets, got picked up and arrested on assault and battery charges. He deserved what he got. His name, Cole Buckley of Braintree, Massachusetts, not quite a Braintree of himself, picked up and arraigned on Tuesday at Boston Municipal Court. Basically, as Kyrie was leaving the court, a guy threw bottle bottle hit Kyrie. Kyrie came out to the middle of the floor trying to figure out what was going on. Pretty quickly after that, he was escorted by police off the floor. So off to, I guess, out of the stand. So most times when these things happen, they find the fan pretty quickly because they usually catch this thing on tape. And they're usually paying attention to these things. And there's security to give them some pluses are doing a good job of trying to be around these things when they happen. Now, why there's an influx of fan attacks, I don't know. It might be COVID-19, people being just cooped up. It might be COVID-19 affecting people's brains. It might be the fact that people are just always as stupid. They're just on big display right now. We don't really know about some of these things. But here's the thing. These people on the floor, yes, they get paid millions of dollars to entertain you, but they are not your puppets. They're not your slaves, and they're not meant for you to have target practice. Your role is to pay your ticket, sit in your chair, yell and scream as much as possible from them, but nothing directly at the people. Because when you're at your job, turning wrenches and somebody's yelling from outside saying, you're a horrible wrench turner, that doesn't compute. That doesn't work out. It's all not so good. So let's think about this. It's not so much about having compassion. It really is about having common sense. So have some sense, even if it's not common, and do what you can to not be disruptive at this stuff. Get out there and enjoy stuff, but stop over enjoying it. Maybe have a few less beers or coffee. Remember, you contribute to us by going to buymeacoffee.com/jcliffandpayne. Buy us some coffee and keep us caffeinated and conversational, if you will. Our story that came in at our 5th spot today: man jailed for wrapping bandages around his head to taking driver theory tests for others. This was an interesting story when it popped up, and the picture of the guy literally mummified himself. I guess I don't know if it was supposed to be his booking photo or what. Maybe his profile for Tinder. I don't know, but it's a picture of the guy with just gauze all over his face. And essentially, he's been going into London driving academies and driver sites and taking people's tests. And because you can't see him, you can't see him. He's basically done this. He's got 5 convictions for 28 offenses of this sort. So just kind of literally going around different places, taking people's tests for them. Check out the link and make sure you check out this story, go deeper into it, and actually click on it and go deeper into the longer story. You can see some pictures going on too, including the picture of the mummified guy getting ready to take some driver's tests. Now, we had a faux pas for the weekend where we posted one story out of Miami where there was a shooting, but thought we posted the story about the Miami-Dade shooting at the concert. This is our way of sort of fixing it. This one at number 6, officials decry holiday weekend mass shootings in Miami-Dade. And this is essentially a recap and an update on what's going on with the investigation at the shooting. At a venue in basically a strip mall at a private concert, a few vehicles rolled up, guys came out, shot the place up, leaving 2 people dead and 21 people injured. One person still in critical condition right now as things are happening. So the director of Miami-Dade County Police Department, Alfredo Ramirez III, gave an update in the press conference of what was going on. And the mayor, Daniela Levine Cava, and other community leaders talk about things as well. They are afraid this is going to be a pretty deadly summer with people coming out of the woodwork and just coming out of just the freakness of being locked up for COVID-19. All the craziness and all the mischief is going to be big and bad and bold and not so great for the summer here and maybe across the country. They also offer up their Crime Stoppers phone number of 305-471-8477 if you know anything about this incident. This is one way for us sort of to basically make amends for missing it on the weekend, one of the biggest stories of the weekend, by putting something in here. We're not sure the way it's posted here that this story and the outcry on the after effect will actually last till the end of the week for the weekly wrap up. But we want to make sure you guys got a chance to engage with it. 6.06% of the crowd got into this one. And wrapping up on the final 2 at 7, Johnson & Johnson asked High Court to void $2 billion tax verdict. Now, this verdict was the fact that Johnson & Johnson was found liable for their talcum powder products, saying that it made people sick. It had reasons to believe it caused cancer, although Johnson & Johnson still says it don't. So they're trying to get the verdict kicked. Click on the link for this story. We got it from AP News. You can basically search Johnson and Johnson and go deeper into this one. This is a big deal. That was a bigger deal years ago when the verdict was going out. Of course, time has passed since then, but we're trying to find out more information on this one as it goes by. The big deal is the fact that Johnson and Johnson is asking the high court to void the verdict. They say there's still no real proof that they're liable for the cost of the damages. However, it was already found, so we're trying to work that out. And finally, one story which was really odd because it popped. We put it in late. It's like we said, we have to fill something every 50 minutes. It's just sort of got into the feed. And there were some other stories that were tailing in the tail end of 9, 10, and 11 that were more impactful, more bigger. And we'll see if those stories over the next day or so actually gain in momentum and find a way into the countdown this week. But we talk about the stories that you say you want to talk about. And this is one that apparently is a big deal. I actually posted this with the wrong headline or the right headline. Google Photos free unlimited storage ends tomorrow. And that tomorrow is actually today. So go to our website. This is conversation.com. Click the link for the newsletter for today. 8 things to talk about for the 1st of June. Happy June, by the way. And you can see the link to the main story, get the details on this, and find some ways around what's going on. What's happening is the Google is shutting down your free storage for photos as of today, and you'll have to pay for extra drive space. Not very expensive. Drive space is really actually very cheap. I said actually like 5 times in 3 sentences. I actually pay for about 3 different services that back things up for me, so I don't lose a lot of data. Although some of that data is literally odd poems from high school that for some reason I think may be a hit one day. But all my data from way back is backed up in various places, in 3 different places, and the prices of it are cheap, and that's why I have triple storage. So you can check out the price plans for Google One plans and more drive space to scale up to a 2 terabyte space. But if you think that you need more than 15 gigs of space, if you've been saving all your photos forever someplace, you can do that. You can also, it also suggests, there are places like Dropbox and Flickr and OneDrive as well. And for very, very minimum prices for their prescriptions. I do that too many times. Their subscription prices. But you can find out ways to save on all your stuff by saving your stuff. Check it out by going to our website. This is theconversation.com. Click the link for that story, and we'll get you more details on that one. And so those are your 8 things to talk about for today. You can see the whole list at thisistheconversation.com/8 things 2021 0601. Happy June, by the way. We are now officially 6 months into the year, halfway through this year. Hopefully this has been a fairly prosperous and fairly knowledgeable year for you. Things have gone great. If you've been following along what we've been doing with our project here, you've known it's been fits and starts. It's always are. If you follow along with the larger, more better media broadcasting company that we have, there's been fits and starts there as well. And if you've been following along with life and you realize it is 2021, there have been fits and starts for quite some time. Some people longer. For people who are going into 2020 with some issues, it's just been a really long. So the Roaring 20s, we're expecting them to show up sooner or later. But in the meantime, hope you stay safe. As we always say, even though we are drinking coffee, stay hydrated and stay limber and stay on task, because we need you, number one, to do the work for us by going to our feeds and engage with the story so we know what's going on. Number 2, we need to have conversations with you, so we want you here for these wrap-ups. And 3, we need you. The world needs you. Someone out there needs you taking up that space, doing that thing, being that seemingly unimportant minor thing that you do that means a whole lot more to people that you really think, because most people don't really understand what the little things that go into their lives, what little things that actually make things go well. So no matter what little things or really, really big things you do, we need you. So as we say, stay hydrated, stay limber, stay on task. You don't have to stay with me very much longer because we are done gapping for the day in pretty good time. We have a little bit of a plan. It works a lot better. I'm Jake Living Payne for all the guys and gals who work behind the scenes to make this thing and all the more better media stuff happen. Enjoy your coffee. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your conversations. And let's see if we can do this again tomorrow, next time. And I guess time to beat the clock challenge is 20 minutes. We'll see what we can do tomorrow when we convene again.